Welcome to this afternoon's craft time with us here. And today we're going to be showing you some very interesting things that you can do, even if you don't know how to paint at all. You don't need to be a painter. You don't need to have learned. For the very first time, you can actually convert your glass bottles, the jars, into very beautiful items for your home. And we're going to be showing you what to do, how you can quickly do this and see the effect. Today we're going to be looking at the sponging technique. So we're going to be using sponges, different types of sponges. You see all these holes and things, they actually add some effect to the overall bottle design. And this we can also use, but I prefer this because of the effect that one can have. So imagine these are the same bottle. Look at the difference. If you have these all over your home, you can imagine that you can do a lot of things with it. You can add flowers, plants, and even use them as containers. So today we're going to be using this. This is a sponging technique. Now for the sponging technique, I'm going to take one of these bottles and just apply paint. Now it's very good if you have a palette. If not, just make do with something, even a disposable plate where you can have that. But the palette you can always wash and reuse at another time. Important thing to note is that you don't keep the paint in it overnight because it will then dry up. And if it's very dry, you have to soak it for quite a while before it can actually work. So what do we do? Now, ideally, we should have rinsed out our sponge so that it's not too hard. And then we go and dab, all right? In this case, we're going to be just dabbing and dabbing. And then we allow it to dry a bit and add another layer. So let's go. Now, it's good to have a little bit of maybe serviette or something around so that if it's too much, you can actually dab on it. But let's see. You see that? Now, you just go on like this. Don't fill up everywhere unless you want to use just that color all through. So if you don't want to use just that color, just go dab, dab, and dab. All right? So you see the texture? This is deliberate, very, very deliberate. It's going to dry like this and actually give it a feel. So we can have that texture going all around. Now I deliberately chose the color yellow, one of the craftiest colors. It's going to pop when it's done, okay? So now this is not going to cover the entire bottle, but it's being done on purpose that way. Remember the one I showed you earlier on? It's actually almost transparent, but again, not quite. Not enough to show, what is inside. So, but anyway, if you're going to use it for plants, you know that the best thing to do is not to have leaves inside water. If you add leaves to the water, then it's going to be very easy for it to start rotting away and you have a nasty smell. Now, let me just quickly show you how we got this effect. That's if you don't have a sponge that has holes, you can actually just pinch, okay? The surface you want to use, just pinch out a bit, all right? I'm going to go on now to use one of my favorite paints, okay? And that's the Treasure Gold. I love it. The metallic effect is so beautiful. So I'm going to do a green and yellow here. And again, I'm going to go dab. And please don't take too much paint at a time, all right? It's better to be pouring some more than having to waste the glue, all right? So just look for the empty spaces. Look for the empty spaces. All right, all over like that. Look for the empty spaces. And like I mentioned, I actually love this effect. I like the way, the effect that it gives. So that's why we're doing this deliberately so that it's dimensional. It's not just flat. So you go all the way around like that. I tell you, it's a good idea to have all these decorated pieces around the house. They actually add to the beauty. Now we're going to go on and add a brighter color just so that this looks a little more interesting. You would be able to see the effect of the Treasure Gold more when it is dry, all right? So you can see that we're already transforming this bottle. It's not quite the same way as it was before. So you can see that from there to this, and you can see the effect of what I did before. This is also getting transformed now. And we don't have to stop here now. We can actually go on and add another color. Now, in terms of mixing paints, if we added a little bit of white to the yellow, it will become lighter. But then what we want to do is to actually you really add a splash of orange or something that would really make it very, very nice. We have white paint here already. We're now going to add a spot of orange. Now I'm using what we call multi-surface paints. Now the multi-surface paints are very good for most surfaces, and when you use them, you find out that even when you have to wash the bottles lightly, of course we don't scrub the bottles, you find out that these work. They just stay on and on and on. Nothing happens to them. These were done quite some time ago. All right, and so again, going by what I told you, you can just add just a little bit to start with. All right, we're using multi-surface paints and we're using a bit of orange. Okay, so here we go. We can, of course, you can rinse your sponges as you go on, but please remember that when you rinse them, you also need to do what? You also need to squeeze out the extra water from them. So have some paper towel or have some old napkins handy that you can actually use for that purpose. So I'm going to now leave this as just a uniform flat color. All right, I'm going to go there, 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 there. I'm just dabbing it here and there and making it very nice and bright. So there we go. So can you see the transformation taking place? Now with just a little bit, very little bit of paint, you can actually transform your jars, your bottles into lovely items of beauty. So what do you think? Are you going to try this? If you're going to try it, just let us know in the comments. If you have any questions, if while doing any of this you run into any problems, do let us know and we'll see what we can do, to help you. Do you want to add another shade of yellow to it? Do you want to brighten the yellow and add it? Those are all things that you can decide. How you want it, just the way you want it. There we go. So, can you see that? What do you think? So this is a transformation you've seen from the beginning to the end. And you can tell that when you have this in your home, you're going to have something, an object of beauty, rather than just a drab, dull bottle. Okay? Don't forget to rinse out your sponges when you are done. And actually just use up the paint so that it doesn't waste. Waste not, want not. Now by doing this, you know what we're doing? We're repurposing, we're reusing, we're upscaling, upcycling, we're adding beauty to the world rather than adding, trash. So please don't trash your bottles. Make sure that you can make them into something of beauty that you can then enjoy. Look at that. This is actually quite pretty to us here. So that's all we're going to be taking today. If you have any questions, don't forget to get in touch with us. We can help you with those. And if there's any idea you want to try out and you want to bounce it off us, feel free to do so. So don't forget, do subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of this. Every week, you can be sure that we'll have a long video for you. And in between, we have a lot of tips and ideas for you also to try out.